Are you ready now?
Sure.
All right, what's our intro?
Let's get ready.
Okay, give me that intro. Welcome to Faith-Filled Nerds, where two happily married nerds explore Christian symbolism, iconography, and theology within various fandoms.
Our goal is to pit them against the source and see how accurate or inaccurate they are.
I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle, and we're here to discuss Dante's Inferno, the animated movie and video game from 2010. So you don't remember when this movie came? The game was advertised.
Oh, it was a mess.
Okay, but the advertisement tried really hard. Like, I thought it looked really cool when 2010 was 10 years ago. So
well, I mean,
quite a bit younger.
Definitely, there were some missteps, kind of like EA's Sin to Win campaign.
Yeah, but what did that even do? What were you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Wait, EA apologizes for Sin to Win Booth Babe promo.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Oof. Now, I said a couple episodes ago that Constantine...
Ooh, wow!
What?
They promised gamers a sinful night with two hot girls.
That's what it was.
Oh my goodness!
That's what it was, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they illustrated it with a tramp stamp.
Yep, yeah.
Oh no, it's not even it's their boobs.
Yeah.
This is so bad.
Oh, it was really bad. They got...
Oh my goodness.
A lot.
I found an old article on Kotaku about it.
Yeah.
Printed in 2009. Yeah, because it came out around the Super Bowl, so they were advertising it before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, again, like I said, I said...
were already an issue.
I said that Constantine was a freaking theological fever dream.
I did not even. Based off the book, old book at least. Poem?
Was.
Poem?
It was an epic poem, yeah. It was
epic poem.
Kind of.
Isn't it Wolf? No.
But
Isn't that one? What's that other famous epic poem?
Beowulf.
Beowulf.
Yeah. But I went through and I watched the gameplay because I watched
the gameplay a long time ago because my curiosity, I watched it when it came out. My curiosity had to know how not accurate, but what did they? Because this was a God of War, right?
Clone, yeah, it felt like a God of War clone.
But it was it's unique enough. It's not plot clone at all. It's just combat clone. It's bloody, it's gory, it's got.
It definitely had the spectacle fighter thing that Devil May Cry that really...
this is not, this is one of those episodes that's not going to be too, kid friendly because there's sex and drugs and death and there's, self-harm. This game it's rated M, so this is...
Oh, this game earned every inch of its M rating.
But it was it wasn't because... It just ended up there. They were man, we gotta hit all of these milestones.
Oh, man.
And it wasn't one of those games where we're edgy. It was just we have to make sure we're going to hell, so we better make sure we go down for the ride on hell.
Yeah.
So they put out, an animated movie.
Yep.
To go with the game, and the movie's an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally is the plot of the game.
There's a few places that they diverge, but
basically it's the same plot.
Yeah.
It's not scene for scene or anything.
No.
And then they have 7. Do they have 9 different animation styles? Did it change 9 times? I couldn't tell.
I caught 3. But
they really could have done some cooler stuff. Most of them were just different anime styles, which was fine. But it didn't feel unique enough. I really liked the JoJo's Adventure style.
Yeah,
that one was fun.
The
idea of the animation style was to represent each layer of hell in a different art style, but they only had 4 art styles available.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was.
We only know how to do 4.
Well, at least they didn't do a full,
They could have
computer.
done a claymation scene. How terrifying that would have been.
Yes. I am glad that they went the direction with the layer of lust in the movie, rather than the way they had it in the game. Cause
I don't even remember.
Oh man, it was.
So Dante's Inferno is an epic poem written by Dante Alighieri.
Yeah.
Can't say, he's Italian. And John Mark we had done research. We were planning on doing this one a while ago. Back when we were I think we were looking more at the book series with it instead of like comparing. We were originally wanting to compare the book to the game, but then we realized that that's not going to work anyway. So you listened a bit to the book, and it was basically this guy letter.
It's a self-insert fanfic, okay?
It's a
honestly.
self-insert fanfic, and everybody he hates is in hell.
Yeah.
And he's literally like, oh, there's that guy I hate. Over there's he's in his circle.
Yeah.
He wasn't, from what I understand of Dante, he wasn't a very fun person.
No, well, okay. Well, part of it, the reason it's called the Divine Comedy is because a lot of it is satire. And satire isn't necessarily have to be ha-ha funny, but it is a means at which you kind of like hold up a mirror to a problem and say, here, look at it.
It's like that one essay we read in college where it's about eating babies from Ireland.
Yeah.
He was trying to call out how poorly Britain was treating Ireland, to the point it's like, well, if you're just going to treat them like animals, here's an idea.
Yeah.
And people got so mad. People in my class were so mad at this guy. They didn't understand it was satire. I figured it out because I'm brilliant.
Oh, of course you were.
No, I actually had no idea. I didn't understand what was happening.
But really, a lot of the satire in this has to do with the current state of the church during this time. And we kind of touched on this in our 40K episode about, the bad popes.
Bad pope.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they pope on you?
Okay, you did not stick that landing.
I had no answer. Bad popes. Let me work it out.
Anyways.
I'll write it down. Hold on. Where's my pen?
Basically, the church had a kind of string of unfortunate popes, which eventually led to reforms within.
They were throughout history.
Yeah, it eventually led to reforms within the Catholic Church, which led to the very long and complex process by which a new pope is chosen now. All that being said, Dante was trying to hold up a mirror to this problem, but he could not help.
When you put yourself in it.
But
look how good Dante was.
I
guess. Okay, was Dante this terrible as he was in the game of a person, or was that like additional flourish?
Oh well, the game. Okay, the difference between the game and the books, it's basically the difference between the epic poem and what real theology of heaven and hell is. Because there's two things in the epic poem that there's a problem with. One, most of the a lot of our conceptions of how the spiritual world works actually come from the Hellenistic influences, and this is even more so. You have, like, in the Circle of Greed, you had Cerberus that was eating people.
Yeah, they had a lot of Greek people hanging out there, a lot of Greek mythology hanging out.
Now, keep in mind here also that Dante...
Cerberus was so gross in that.
Yeah, Dante was Roman, and...
yes.
So
the Greeks suck.
Yes. But, so a lot of, if you ever read the epic poem, I will warn you, it is a slog.
Did you just, hit something over there really loud?
I did.
All right.
It is a slog, but, you will probably notice that, these different circles of hell are pretty much populated by a lot of the Greek heroes, as well as everyone that was mean to him in high school. If you're writing a fanfic about hell, and you've got a few axes to grind, I'm just saying, Yeah. So let's
I'll get
kind of
right on that.
let's kind of go into the game/movie because it does follow the game.
Does Dante
Sort of.
actually looking for his wife girlfriend?
So in the epic poem, it starts out with Dante basically wandering the
Does he do a cool
forest.
horse flip?
No, he does. Oh yes. Hold on. Okay, so time out. We have to talk about this in the movie.
So like the first
Because-
2 minutes into the movie, I was like watching this because we watched it on our own. We each watched it. We watched it at the same time on our own screens because we didn't feel like putting it on the big TV. Anyway, we were watching it and like Joe Mark had left the room and I was like, "Come over here. You have to watch this." And I rewound it. And within the first 2 minutes of the movie, Dante's horse pushes off a rock, turns and flies through the air, flipping upside down as he kills. For some reason, there's a lion and a couple other big cats that are attacking Dante because
It was in the epic poem.
Okay, but but his horse is just cool and flying through the air, and he's on it still, by the way. And he kills them while they're flying around upside down, and then it lands, and it's like this horse is like so cool. Like this horse, I'm like, first I went, what is this? Like I was very upset. I was very upset that this horse was not adhering to physics
In any way.
in any way or form. Before they're not even in hell yet, so it should have it gets ridiculous later, but when they're in hell, it's like, well, it's hell. And, fantasy. But then the horse just dies.
Yeah.
Later on, the horse gets eaten by demons. And I'm just like, well, where's your cool backflip, horse?
So
It's just, this movie is just like, super serious dialogue, probably straight from the poem. He's talking, the horse is now doing a flip through the air. What's happening?
yeah. So in the epic poem,
Is the
it
horse doing a
starts.
cool flip?
No, there's no horse.
Oh!
It starts out with him in a forest and he doesn't know how he got there because this is supposed to be like, I guess, the recounting of a dream or something. I don't know.
Maybe he's dead.
I don't know. It doesn't really say. And he's gonna travel up this mountain and like a leopard and a she-wolf and a lion or something
I don't
stop
remember
him.
there being a she-wolf. Was there a she-wolf?
I think there was a wolf. Yeah.
I don't remember the wolf. I remember a leopard and a lion.
Yeah.
Because I was like, where are you in the world, sir? But I guess if he's in Rome, it makes a little sense.
Yeah. So, but the game/movie, it has that scene.
Have that?
What?
That scene.
The scene with the.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Because they couldn't.
They gotta fill that time up. They didn't put on the anger scene.
Yeah, anime.
Okay.
Yeah, anime.
But it wasn't anime yet.
It was anime-ish.
Okay.
Anime adjacent.
Anyway, so, I mean, are we going to break it down piece by piece?
No, we can go through it.
So, basically, here's the thing. He is wanting to get home. In the animation/game, he wants to get home to his beloved Beatrice.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just so jazzed to get home to his beloved. And then he's like, wait, why is everybody dead?
Yeah.
And he finds her, she's very excited. And dead, but excited, her, because they had to cut her blouse open. This movie is for no reason having her just hello world, I am ready. I want to say something, but it's probably not podcast appropriate. But I was just like, okay.
There's a lot.
So every time that happened, I would yell a word. I'm like boom every time.
There is a lot of I will say this about both the movie and the game, not safe for kids.
Lots of unnecessary nudity.
Lot of unnecessary nudity.
I know some of you might say, "When is nudity necessary?" It's a human body. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but this is
But it was very unnecessary.
Yeah. And
I know God of War has unnecessary stuff, but that's Greek. They liked nudity, okay?
Yeah. Well, the game has a few pieces of unnecessary nudity that just so did
the movie.
Yeah, it's anyways.
Why does clothing always tear like paper? What are their clothes are probably better made than they were now.
Yeah, they probably were.
So he's like, oh no, my Beatrice, and she's like, don't worry, yo, you were true to me, so I get to go to heaven. And she's like floating up all ethereal, and he's like, am I high? He was like, why can I see this? Well, good question, Dante. Why can you see this?
Yeah.
I'll let you.
The game. This scene took way less time, by the way.
Okay, well they didn't have a whole bunch of game padding.
Yeah,
go
it's true.
Between each scene. So.
And so, like, she's ascending into heaven, and JK, you're going to hell because the devil is come to
opening a candy bar as quietly as I can.
Yeah, the devil's come to claim your soul because hot
innocent girl.
Yeah, you made a bet with him that he would be true to you during the Crusades.
And you would keep him safe.
Well, no, that he would be true to her, that he wouldn't, during the Crusades, and he wasn't.
She made the deal with the devil at all was so that nothing would happen to Dante during the war.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he said, okay, well, I get your soul. I'll keep Dante safe, but I get your soul if he isn't true to you, aka doesn't screw around.
Yeah.
They're not married yet, but it doesn't matter. They're betrothed. And also, he's going off to be a
crusader.
A crusader to the Middle East.
Yep.
So this movie's a little hard to watch with everything going on half the time, and so they're going, well, alright, here we go.
So she gets, taken to hell, and he goes after her.
He jumps into hell after her.
Yeah.
Because you can do that.
I guess.
This is my theory that he's actually dead.
Actually, the game implies it pretty heavily because
I think the assassin killed him.
Yeah, in the game,
because he was promised to get home safely, so he got home.
Yeah.
Dead. There's an assassin that killed everybody. It's explained later.
Yeah. And so he jumps into hell.
Timer went off. Weird.
And he is going after her, and he is met by a figure, Virgil, who's going to guide him.
Virgil, who wrote the Iliad, and I think apparently that's what they said.
So
Virgil, who's like a famous poet and famous all this stuff, and apparently because of that, because he's not an angel.
No,
he's like a spirit that gets to be like a guide.
So in the epic poem, Virgil is consigned to Limbo, but Beatrice asked God to send Virgil to Dante because Virgil is like one of Dante Alighieri's, like in real life, it's one of his favorite poets.
Oh, this is a self-insert.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I want to be best friends with this guy, so I'm gonna write him in.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay, so they're in Limbo. So I want to talk about Limbo.
Well, did they?
They had to go to the boat, right? First, before Limbo?
Yes. Technically, according to the epic poem, the first place that they go to is what's called anti-hell, which is like, instead of like an antechamber, it's like...
Yeah. Basically, it's where everybody goes, and then they all get on Charon.
Yep.
It's from Greek mythology, Charon, who's a boat now.
Or, I thought it was Chiron.
It's Chiron. I've heard it Chiron. I've heard it Charon.
Okay, whatever.
I'm probably wrong.
No, I've been hearing it Charon, so. Also, it's
spelled with a CH, but it's, who knows. And
also, real quick, anti-hell is where people are consigned, apparently, that can't decide between doing good or evil. But it's also,
are they the lukewarm people?
Yeah, they're the lukewarm people, and they are tormented by like snakes and insects and stuff.
Sounds cool to me.
Force them into action. Also, the angels that didn't choose a side during the war in heaven, they're down there too, according to the poem. This has nothing to do with it. They didn't even touch on this in the game, hardly.
Okay, so they're constantly implying that more people go to hell than to heaven.
Yes.
In the game. Or in the movie? I don't know if they did in the game, but
both
the movie
of them.
did.
Yeah.
And so Charon had to turn into like a big boat to carry all the souls to where they needed to go for judgment to what layer of hell they belonged in.
Yeah, if you're imagining like in most depictions, like Chiron, which is like a skeleton figure with like a little ferry boat.
He's a disgusting boat man.
He's gone from like that little like ferry boat kind of thing, like the gondola looking thing, to a full cruise ship. Like it's
yeah, and he's like really mad that Dante's there because he's immortal.
He is dummy thick now.
You can't say that.
I can't because
podcast. That's not, because that means a big butt, honey.
Oh, well, we'll let it out.
You can't use dummy thick. Only I could use dummy thick because I know what it means.
Anyways.
Also, we're too old. We sound like
old.
We're hip and cool guys, aren't we? That's what we sound like. When you say dummy thick, you sound like an old man trying to. You sound like my dad.
Anyways.
Don't listen to this, Dad.
So
you're
they
so cool, Dad.
They
Anyway,
get on the boat.
so, and there's a big fight scene because Sharon's like, "You can't go, get off me, dude," and he kills him.
Yeah, Dante
just kills everybody because
Yeah.
I guess hell means you can kill the demon.
It's the God of War thing. You gotta kill everything.
It's not only just a fanfic, honey. It's a crossover self-insert fanfic.
Oh, what are we crossing over? Oh, Greek mythology. Yeah, I guess.
It's like, man, let's mix it all up here. Anyway, so Limbo. When they get to Limbo, Limbo's kind of like, so what? You know that they pass through that room with all the old dudes.
Yeah.
And those like Socrates is there and all of that.
Yeah.
Which I think is fascinating. Because I'm not sure how religious Socrates was. Anyway, it's a place for those who have sinned, but also have a friendship with God still. But that was before Jesus came. Alright? So heaven wasn't open to people yet.
Okay.
Because heaven couldn't take in people yet until Jesus Christ died and rose again and offered that sacrifice.
Okay.
So if you had a relationship with God, you couldn't go to heaven yet, so you had to wait out in limbo.
Okay.
So the patriarchs were there, like, Moses and all that. So technically it's empty. There shouldn't be anybody in limbo right now.
Right.
There's two limbos though.
Okay.
There's limbo of the fathers, and then there's limbo of the infants. And now this is like a fast research on limbo because I couldn't find a really cool video or explanation for it because limbo is kind of not as relevant now.
Yeah, didn't one of the popes say...
Okay, well, I read about that. I actually looked that up. So the limbo, and he's talking specifically about the limbo for infants. Not necessarily limbo of the fathers, but limbo of the infants. The limbo of the infants is for a place for unbaptized babies who are born because original sin. We all are born with original sin.
Yep.
That's the idea. But they haven't had a chance to sin yet, but weren't a chance to be baptized either. So they go to a place of waiting. And I don't quite read if they could be... They kind of are for there forever, but it's not like a bad place.
Yeah, it's...
So Pope Benedict... The 16th? XVI. Is that 16th?
I think so. The one we're on right now.
No, he retired.
Oh yeah, the one that
one we're on right now is really cool. Anyway.
Yeah, the one that looked a little bit like Darth Sidious.
Yeah, but he was still pretty cool.
He was a cool guy. He just looked like Darth Sidious.
He authorized the publication of a document that basically brought out these different teachings talking about limbo, of the consistency of the church's teachings. Though it's not an official expression of that teaching, right? Of this view of limbo. But media reported that the Pope closed limbo. But what really happened was we think that this might be what happens to these babies, but we don't have an answer. Like, there's different theories. There's different theologies. It's them going, we have a lot of theologies for what happens to these babies, but then baby limbo is one of them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting, saying, you know what? We'll be honest with you. We don't know.
Yeah, because we don't know.
So here's this answer that this is something we've been saying, but we're not sure. So he didn't get rid of it. He just said you can believe in it if you want to, kind of thing. It doesn't really change your relationship with God or the theology you have in your walk with God.
Yeah.
So it does not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
See, in the Protestant faith, we have something called the Age of Accountability, which is...
But is that biblical?
I don't think.
Why don't we talk about it that much?
I don't think.
They do. The only place we have on that is David, when Bathsheba had the baby and God let the baby pass away because of David's sin.
Yeah.
When David talks about being able to see his son someday in heaven.
Yep.
Which is the only indication, I believe, from the Protestant Bible, what we follow.
Well, it's also because that was one of his psalms.
Oh, that's true. It's also really old, so it's also the Hebrew teachings.
Yep.
It's one of the few instances we have of saying that babies still go to heaven.
Yep.
So let's see, but we don't know when the age of accountability. It might be like I personally believe it's a person from person age and maturity thing.
Yep.
So the age of accountability for me might have been different than you.
Yeah.
But I also think it's one of those things that doesn't really matter because as long as we are, because God, it's grace and his love is, I think, takes precedent over a lot of other things. So he knows the heart of a child.
Yeah.
He knows the heart of a teenager. He knows the heart of a grown-up.
Yeah, and like I said before, I think
I'm somewhere in the middle between a teenager and a child, still, adult still. I'm in the middle between a teenager and child still. I'm okay. Never mind. I'm just
trying to.
I'll see myself out.
Yeah, saying that this is definitively what happens, even though I think there's like a certain vagueness that God keeps about the afterlife, because that's not where our focus should be. Our focus should be here in the now, helping people, loving people, and keeping that right relationship with our Heavenly Father. I think that's where our focus should be. And if you're doing the things, if you've accepted Jesus Christ and you're following him and you're loving on people, and all that, I think all of that will just come out in the wash,
I just think it was interesting how I've read several documents today about this, and then I watched that video, and they kept saying a friendship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's, it literally said friendship with Jesus in one of the documents, and not just relationship with Christ. Well, I thought it was kind of an interesting way.
Yeah. I like that.
And then there's, so then there's the 9 levels of hell.
Yep.
And that's basically the game. The game was built for them. Like, it was like, man, what should we make a game about? How about this place that already has 9 levels in it?
Yeah.
Like, hey, free level design.
Now, I'm sure that it will not surprise you in any way, shape, or form to know that in the epic poem, Dante does not grab a scythe and start cutting up demons. That is something.
It's literally just him walking through these.
Yeah,
levels.
it's
He's
a tour.
not in danger.
Actually, there's a couple times that there's one particular time that he actually is in danger too. Now that I think of it, when they get to the gates of the city of Dis in the epic poem, the fallen angels that are guarding the gate are like, "No, you can't come in here." Virgil's like, "Yes, we can. We're on a mission from God.
We're on a spiritual journey."
And the angels are like, "Yeah, well, that's a living person. You can't come in here." And an angel, like a heavenly angel, comes down, admonishes the fallen angels, and says, "You guys can go on in. I took care of it." And then there's another time that they get chased by angels because when they're in the I can't remember which side. Basically, they cause one of the fallen angels to drop one of the people they're tormenting, and he gets away. And so they blame Dante, and so they have to run. That's about the only times they're in danger.
Does Dante ever free people from it in the story?
Nope.
No? Okay. So Dante has this cross that his beloved gave him.
Yep. This is the game.
And he can, like, people he decides to take mercy on that don't deserve to be there, because that's how that works, I guess. He can, like, pray them out of hell. Yep. And he does this 3 times.
In the movie, he does. In the game, it's a mechanic. It's a way of you, like, collecting souls, and you use it. You use it you use it to, like, power up your abilities, but also, there's, like, a scene.
Is he sending them back, really? Or is he just, hey, this is my soul now?
I guess. I don't know. There's a scene at the end where all of the big, powerful souls, meaning, like, from his, like, mother and from Beatrice and from these big, powerful souls that empowers him to keep
one friend, and he's
the devil locked up.
What's his one friend he saves? What's he in?
I don't remember.
He's like in water. He's in gluttony. He's in gluttony's stomach.
Yes. That's yep.
The friend that had no plot reference. He didn't save his fellow Templar.
Actually, in the game, Beatrice's brother, he does.
He didn't save Beatrice's brother in the movie.
In the movie, he does in the game. There's, like I said, there's a few differences between the movie and the game.
I want to talk about the layers of hell.
Okay.
And then I want to, the layers of hell kind of represent like the worst, the best, the least sin to the worst sin, correct?
Yes.
Right? And I don't really buy into the layers of sin thing that much.
No, there's all sin is abhorrent. All sin keeps us, separates us from God.
But we're going to take that part away for now.
Okay.
We're going to go over the thing, and then I want you to list how you think the layers of hell should have been.
Well, I will say this, after doing a little research, there is a reason why Dante set up the layers the way he did.
Yes.
Because the outer layers...
Yes.
Are sins of the flesh. So lust, gluttony, greed,
anger,
and wrath. Yeah, those are sins of the flesh. And the ones that are in the inner circle past the city of Dis, those are sins of the spirit.
But we're not gonna worry about that.
Okay.
Also, I think it's really interesting that Limbo is technically a layer of hell.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of not what it was.
Nope. But, you know...
It is, depending on how you believe.
If you are looking for an accurate theological description of what heaven and hell are, this is not it.
No. But I want to point out an interesting thing. I forgot. So throughout the movie, you see Dante's... For every layer of hell they go to, you see Dante's sin compared to that hell. Like what sin he committed.
Yeah.
Compared to that layer of hell. And then you also see how Beatrice is being tortured by the devil.
Yep.
In each layer.
Yep.
Almost in each layer. I don't know if they show each layer, her in each layer, but they show her relative. Beatrice gets, like the idea is the devil's trying to wear her down to give in to
break her willpower.
Innocence, basically, because he can kill her over and over. It's really hard to watch because she's not like deep character or anything, but she's definitely this innocent woman who has been caught up in the sins of others.
Yeah, she made a dumb bet.
Yep. Yes, that was her greatest sin. It's not even a sin. She just made it. Well, depending on if you believe betting's a sin or not. She's not like this. I feel bad for her. I kept going, poor Beatrice. Did you hear me keep saying poor Beatrice? I was feeling pretty bad for this lady. She seems really too good to be real.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she had already slept with Dante in the movie. They had promised each other, then they slept together, and then she's promised to be faithful to me, basically.
Yep.
And then she gets pregnant from that. So he finds his own child in Limbo because trigger warning. It's hell, guys. Let me just see. So here's things we're going to be talking about that happen in hell. Okay, there's miscarriages, so there's babies in Limbo who were miscarried, right?
Yep.
And then there's a pretty aggressive sexual aggression towards Beatrice and lust, gluttony. I can't think of anything that's super. Well,
gluttony. It wasn't Beatrice. It was his father. His father was
a monster.
Yes. A remarkably abusive person.
Spousal abuse, domestic abuse.
Yep.
There's mentions of suicide.
Yep.
And also in this canon, at least in this lore here, suicide's considered a sin.
Yep.
And we have both talked about our view of suicide and where it lays in the spectrum, and how neither of us really believe it's a sin as much as it's up to God on how that works out, because I believe there's so many more things before someone takes their own life that comes into it. And I'm not going to sit there and go into it, other than I do not put suicide into the list of sins. Personally, I do not believe suicide's a sin. I believe it is not a symptom. What is the word? Something that happens to somebody who desperately needs help.
Yeah.
And I just can't fault them, basically. Now, a man who goes and kills his kids and then shoots himself, that's a little different. Yeah. But it's the circumstances.
Right.
Anyway, so just warning out there right now. We're going to be talking about self-harm, hating yourself, wrath against others, murder, rape. This is a rough episode when it comes to that, because this is literally a rated M game of the layers of hell.
Yeah.
And so you have been warned.
Worst of the worst.
So there's lust, and he goes into lust is, you got there's Cleopatra and Anthony.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was kind of interesting, because Cleopatra is actually a very fascinating historical character who has been relegated to a seductress, which was not what was going on. So if you ever want to look up Cleopatra's story, it's really interesting how she was just trying to save her people.
Yeah, her sister was nuts.
Well, when you have lots of incest. She married her brother.
Yep.
But it's complicated. Egyptians. And then my brain.
So the layer of lust is basically.
Are we just gonna talk about like Dante's sin in each layer?
Yeah. So really, the story of this game is he's going through these layers of hell, and you're also learning more about how Dante's decisions that he made.
He messed up.
Yeah, he messed
over
in the Crusades led to all of this happening.
Yeah. Dante basically belongs in every single layer of hell.
Yeah. So while he's
maybe
going,
not treachery. Does he belong in treachery?
Yes, because so they went to war in the Crusades.
Oh, they went. So they're basically trying to get Jerusalem back.
And
so they're fighting. I don't know which crusade it was, but they're fighting.
I don't know either. I think they said it was the second.
They did name drop a person that led.
Richard the Lionheart. So it was probably the second crusade.
And then there was the leader guy that he saw in Limbo. Didn't you see him in Limbo?
He actually saw the Alisar.
It's one of the
main
Muslim leaders.
Yeah, the main general.
Yeah.
So they're going off to war. In the crusade, and before they leave, this priest basically gathers them together, and they're like, I absolve you of any and all sins that you have committed or will commit in the service of our Lord. This was the first, this is basically a example of something that used to be a part of Catholicism that caused a lot of strife called indulgences. Indulgences were basically things that a priest could perform a rite over you, saying that you were absolved of your sins, but also sins that you commit in the future or to a certain point. And the issue was during a lot of early Catholic history, these priests were selling indulgences.
Yeah.
Where they really got their part, at least as some historians think, is that some of the first basically examples of these indulgences were in the Crusades, specifically the First Crusade, where Pope Pope Urban II had basically told these people that were going out to fight for God and country and to retake the Holy Lands from these heathens, that their sins were absolved. So basically, they
could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
they were already forgiven.
And I think the original idea is like, if murder is a sin and a warrior has to go and kill people because that's war, then this will cover that.
Well, I mean, you literally see, like, Dante look at his friend and grin.
Yeah.
They're like, aha, we get to do whatever we want now. We have been forgiven. And then one's like, can a priest really do that? Are you going to be blasphemous and deny a priest he's speaking from God? And so they get in charge. Basically, they get put in charge of this prison full of like 3,000 prisoners, right? They take over this area and take over part of Jerusalem.
And the idea is that they were using the prisoners as bargaining chips for to release, I think, some of their like.
It was also like to trade to get more control. I believe.
Yeah.
So they have like 3,000 people in here, and like Dante's like, why are we keeping these heretics, these heathens? Why are we keeping them alive? Like, he was not very nice about this.
Yeah. He was kind of like incensed that he was on guard duty.
Yeah, he
wanted
mad.
to be out there, murdering, getting glory, but now he's stuck here, so he's bitter about that too.
And then a woman solicits him to save another man's life.
To save her brother.
Yes.
Because her brother did...
she didn't say brother in the movie.
Something.
Yeah.
In the movie she said brother. It was her brother.
No, later on, there's another scene with another woman where it's her husband.
Yeah.
At the end, that's the assassin. So
maybe it was her husband. Anyways,
this one was more specific because this woman they made her a lot more of like willing and happy to do it. But in the end, it is a power dynamic change. So Dante is definitely in the wrong too.
Well, he's in the wrong for all kinds of reasons.
I know, but so he accepts it. Lets the man stops the guards from beating the man to death, and he is unfaithful to Beatrice, as well as taking advantage of a very scared woman who was just trying to help somebody, like.
So he has to deal with.
So that's his lust.
That's his lust. Then he gets to the layer of greed.
Nope, gluttony.
Gluttony. That's what I meant. Gluttony. And this one is.
What was his gluttony? It was his dad that was gluttonous.
It was really his dad who was gluttonous, but I mean. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure he was.
Yeah.
They have a flashback about his dad, and his dad, like... It's interesting because the gluttony one was about his dad, but no, his greed. He fought his dad in greed, though.
Yeah, he fought his dad in greed, but his gluttony.
Talking about his dad in gluttony.
Yeah, in gluttony they talked about his dad because his dad was a wealthy landowner, and I don't know if they did this in the movie, but in the game they had a scene where he's taking all of this food from these farmers, and he's like, the farmers are like, please no, we won't have enough food for the winter or whatever, and he's like, I don't really care. I've got a party. I want to, party up with my friends. And he's just, sitting there, just all of this food, eating all of this food.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
He, later on beats up his wife.
Yeah. Brutally.
Because money was missing. That's greed. Nothing major happens in gluttony other than he jumps into the butthole of... It's
not the butt. It's the mouth.
Mouth butthole.
So in this depiction, you have Cerberus as being like this worm creature
with butthole faces.
Even though, and you look this up. Cerberus means
spot.
Yeah, spotted one. So like Hades
named his dog Spot.
Yeah,
because Hades was.
Like in Greek mythology,
not very great.
Yeah, in Greek mythology, out of all of the gods, Hades was the most chill. Like he was like,
he just wanted to do his job.
Yeah, he was just like,
he just wanted to do his job. Anyway, we're not talking about Hades. So sorry.
So he goes through that.
The gluttony's stomach. There was his stomach.
Oh, and this is also where he like rescues one of his friends.
He absolves the man and saves him,
and
then he moves on to. Then he gets the thing to spit him out, and you know how he could only. They're like, you only way to the next layer is through this place, and then the service pukes him out down to the next layer. So obviously, Virgil lied. Virgil, you lied!
Look, if you are expecting consistency from this fever dream...
I expect 100%
you are asking...
Physics.
You are asking too much, my dear.
No, I'm asking... look, the horse did a flip. I need something to hold on to here. I'm still riding that one. That one's still freaking me out.
So,
anyway.
We get to greed, which is...
man, greed is actually so
this is one
terrifying.
This is one place that it really does devolve from the book. So in this depiction, greed is like this giant machine, and people are being boiled alive in molten gold.
Molten gold, they're being ground up in the gears.
Yep. In the epic poem,
you just hear screaming.
In the epic poem, the punishment in the layer for greed is they are forced to do these like jousting matches with each other using these giant boulders, and they just have to do it constantly.
That's not very greed. I think the idea of this is they were so greedy that they had to be like, what they were greedy for is what punishes them.
Yeah, that's what the
I like the
game
depiction. I actually thought greed was pretty interesting design. The idea that this machine that just constantly
just ground people up, because that's what greed does. That's what the greedy do to people, is they grind them up, and now they're being ground. I think that this is
an epic boss fight with his dad.
I think this is a much better depiction than the book.
I will say, like, the depictions of the hell layers are actually pretty, like, some of them are based right off the book, but they're pretty interesting. Like, you know, lust, the lovers, the people who felt passion were being blown around in a windstorm. They were able to touch,
in the book,
but constantly wanting to. And then gluttony is like,
they're basically
being digested.
Well, they're in this like field of mud, and it's just constantly raining down on them, but it's not rain, it's like it's gross stuff
basically, and then they're being digested, like their constant need for more, and now they're part of that. And then greed, we already explained, and then anger, like, this is anger. And then
anger is, they are basically in a giant river. They're in the river Styx, and they're like just in a big old underwater brawl, and
then like there's one guy who's like, hey, I know you, and like Dante's like, I know you, and then they curse at each other, and that's about it. And they ride on.
Well, I was going to go back to the greed thing, because the greed is where you have another scene with Dante's father, and he actually fights his father, because his father has been given this thing where he gets 1,000 years of no torture
and all the gold he wants.
Yeah, if he will, kill Dante, and of course he does. So they fight.
So he kills Dante.
He
tries.
He tries, and so they fight. But you see basically kind of where a lot of this anger and stuff, because like I said, his mother tries to like step in and do something, but his father is just terrible person.
Yeah.
Terrible person.
I don't know.
He does.
Although my dad's mouth animation is the worst. It's the worst.
Oh, it is
so creepy.
So creepy. His father actually, it's something that
is a sphincter.
Yeah, something his father actually says that's kind of interesting. Because he's talking about saving Beatrice, and his father's like, no man can absolve you of your sins, when he's talking about what the priest was doing.
Yeah.
And in a way that's kind of true. I mean, the only one that can absolve us of our sins is Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So like,
but Jesus Christ was a man. He was God in human form. Yeah. So whatever. Anyway,
the idea is that you can't just be like, well, your sins are forgiven ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the priest did that in another story I read, and what happened was the guy was like, I need you to absolve me of this robbery I plan to do. And the priest was like, okay, sure. Signed a little absolve thing, gave it to him. And then when the priest was going home in his carriage, he robbed him.
Yeah.
And he took all his stuff, and the priest tried to press charge it. But the guy held up the little thing, and the guards were like, too bad, you absolved him. We can't do anything.
Yeah, that's messed up. So,
I'm like big brain. He's a big brain.
So the wrath scene is pretty short. It does show.
He rides on. So like Virgil, who is like, I can't help you at all. I could only guide you. By the way, I have all these people who will do things for me. Phalanges.
Yeah.
Come out, and it's like this giant monster dude who was really cool looking, and they ride him through in the...
Yep.
And he apparently was the son of Ares. He was like a mortal, like one of the mortal ones.
Yeah.
And he was a warlike king of Philangentes, a kingdom identified with both, I can't even say, it's Greece, North Greece. And he was the son of Ares and Dotus of Greece. Anyway, apparently, I guess it makes sense for him to be in anger, because he was a warlike king.
Sure.
Anyway, it's interesting, because every mount or ride they get is a Greek character.
Yeah.
So, I just thought it'd be interesting to mention it. Anyway, we're not very far into this, and we need to get farther.
Yes.
So they go to Heresy, and I actually don't remember much about Heresy now that I think about it.
This is actually where you see, Lucifer is telling everybody, hey, we're gonna have a wedding.
He's gonna marry Beatrice.
I'm gonna marry Beatrice.
She's a hot, innocent.
Yeah, and they're
just trying to tick off Dante.
Yeah, and so Dante, he basically, was like, let's put the hammer down, and he starts going through. This is where you kind of see the story of Dante's past kind of start to play out, because when he was there on guard duty, there's a point in time where the food stores started to run out and he could not feed all of the prisoners. And so he just gets so angry. He's so frustrated, so angry.
He's hangry.
And he...
Dante, you're not the same. Eat a Snickers.
Yeah, he...
That's all he needed was a Snickers, guys. We could have stopped all this.
He gets so mad. And he's just like, you know what? Why are we keeping these heretics alive? And he orders his guards.
No, he doesn't.
Well, he does, but he also tells his men to kill all of them.
Yes.
Now, the whole time, Beatrice's brother, who's with Dante, is saying, don't do this, don't do this. Like, he's been trying...
Voice of reason the whole time.
He's been trying to tell Dante not to do these things. Dante is not having it, and so they slaughter everyone. And when the king shows up it was King Richard. Yeah, it was King Richard. Yeah,
King Richard doesn't even make it back. King Richard dies in the Crusades.
Right, but he shows up at this prison. This prison is not. It's in. Yeah. He shows up and sees this atrocity. He even calls it an atrocity.
Yeah.
He says, "Who is responsible for this atrocity?" And Beatrice's brother,
for some reason,
for whatever reason, looks at Dante and is like, please take care of my sister.
I guess the devil did it because of the deal.
Yeah, and is like, I did it. And because of that, he is executed by hanging.
And like Dante just lets it happen.
Just lets it happen. Doesn't say a word, doesn't like try to interject, just goes along with it. And he, right after they take him away, he books it home. Well, that prisoner that he solicited...
No, it's a different prisoner.
Well,
there's a scene and it's a different woman because she's very ashamed walking with him, and he's like, let this one go, his toll's been paid.
Yeah.
And he was like, what have you done to my wife, you whore? He starts blaming her, and then he's like, I'm gonna get vengeance on this, and he leaves. So he got released before Dante got released.
Yeah, and
that's why he didn't get slaughtered.
Yeah, and he
runs all the way.
Yeah, he follows Dante for a bit, and then like actually goes ahead of him and kills all of Dante's servants, his father, and Beatrice.
Yes.
So it is everything that's happened is because of Dante.
Now, I mean, that man still chose to do those things. He still had free will. But in the end, Dante, endless, the sin after sin, his lust, his gluttony, his greed, his anger, mostly his anger, his heresy, what was his heresy?
Heresy? I don't
remember. Maybe, anyway, killing all those people. Violence.
Yeah, it was his violence, honestly, and because
violence is violence is interesting because there's people who've done acts of violence who he ran into his fellow crusaders during that.
Yep.
And then he went into. Do you have more to say about heresy, or can we move on?
Oh no, I don't have anything about.
Okay, so yeah, the violence against others.
Yep.
And then there's violence against the self, and this is where the suicide talk comes in. How it's violence against it's considered violence against yourself in the Catholic sense. And he finds his mother there because what he thought his mother had died from a fever, she had actually taken her own life.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, well, what was she supposed to do when the Dark Ages wife, like she was gonna eventually get beaten to death, like the poor Thane, she did not, he was like, he doesn't deserve to be in hell.
Well, he does use the cross to absolve her.
Yes.
So
it's just a very tragic scene because she's so broken, like even there, like she's just like, even then, like she's just like, I couldn't do anything, and it just broke my heart. Like it's a very sad scene.
So he gets when he gets to the ring, the next ring, which is
fraud.
The ring of it's fraud. This is the point in time
this is the one that the brother says that he did it. That's the fraud.
Yeah, that's fraud.
He didn't come forward with the truth. Yep. He let someone else take his place.
But this is also the point in time that Beatrice finally breaks, and you see them having the unholy marriage,
unholy wedding with the unholy priest.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the scene here is the point in time that she transforms is in the game it was 3 pomegranate seeds. In the movie she takes a bite of a pomegranate, which if you know the story of Hades and Persephone,
crossover. Sorry. Also, her outfit is so cool.
Yes,
Before she gets all demony, her hello, I'm the Queen of Hell outfit is just really cool.
So, in the movie, her and Dante have, like, they fight.
A boss fight.
They have a boss fight
in the game.
Yeah, it was a good boss fight in the game. And she's like, I will never forgive you. And then he drops his cross and he's like, oh, you brought it back. I forgive you.
I forgive you. You remembered me.
Yep.
Well, he stayed true that he would keep that with him. Like, that's the one thing he did out of everything.
And of course,
the family heirloom.
Of course, the cross absolves her and an angel comes down. And I remember for that scene. So this angel descends and she's like, and my wife's like watching it and she's like, oh, it's an angel. And then the wings open up and you see the face of it. It's like this tooth.
It's more angel. It's actually more accurate to the angels. But I just forgot that happened. So I went, ah! I literally yelled. I was like, oh! It just shocked me.
It was funny.
Which is silly, but because it's more accurate with the weird looking angels.
Yeah, if you actually look at read the few times that angels are described.
Yeah, biblically that was probably pretty accurate. A weird looking two-faced angel. Okay.
Yep.
The angels are pretty weird in the Bible.
Yep.
One's literally just like a ball, so whatever. Anyway, so she gets taken to heaven, and
but he still has to go after a showdown with Satan.
I didn't even gonna talk about my other two mounts. Anyway, so this Greek crossover fan fiction is continuing.
Well, it's interesting because
who's not nearly as interesting. He's just the grandson of Medusa.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that scene happened during the layer of frauds.
The writing on the Garyon was that cool snake thing that showed up.
Oh,
that was really angry.
Yeah, because
and he was like, "Am I gonna have to fight that?" And Virgil's like, "Chill, Dante. This is our ride. Now step into the private part that opened up. Let's go."
Yeah,
I can't. Yeah.
It's a weird gauge movie, whatever. Like I said,
step into this flesh thing. Let's not talk about it.
I may have said that Constantine was a theological fever dream. This was just a regular fever. This was like, oh.
I mean, yeah. So at least they're pulling almost everything from his mythology and stuff. Yeah. Constantine literally just made stuff up.
Yeah. So we get to the final layer. Yeah.
And because he wants to kill the devil.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's it. Time to kill the devil.
And this is a part. You would think the final layer of hell is going to be this burning inferno. Nope, it's a frozen lake.
Yep.
And the devil is frozen up to his chest in the ice.
And he's chained up.
And
he has 3 heads.
Yeah. In the game, movie, whatever, Dante has to cut through all of these chains to get there. Well, I'm watching him cutting through these chains. It's like, oh, I see what was going on here, because he's cutting through the chains. Those are the chains
that's holding the devil.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
So he basically, by showing up there, releases the devil.
Well, he didn't release him right away. The devil was still stuck.
Yeah.
So the devil's treachery's kind of interesting as the bottom thing, because the devil's there because he betrayed God, right? Treachery. Yep. So that's why he's there at the bottom level. And he could only send out an astral form of himself to tempt and do all the devil things.
Yeah.
And he has 3 kind of goat heads.
Yep.
And then 2 of the heads, he has Judas.
Yeah, it's Judas. He also has...
Who's the other one?
One of them is Brutus. And I can't remember the third one.
Oh, man. Judas Iscariot, Marcus Junius Brutus, and Cassius Longinus?
I don't know who the last... That's why the last person didn't leave that much of an impression on me.
He was a Roman senator and general, best known as a leading instigator of the plot to assassinate Julius Caesar.
Okay.
So treachery.
Yep.
Right. And then who's Brutus?
Tu Brute, thus dies Caesar. It was Caesar's best friend.
Okay, so basically they both had to deal with Caesar.
Yeah, the first one to stab Caesar in the back was Brutus.
Man, because there's no one else in all of history since then.
Look, remember
that betrayed anybody to that grievous. It was all.
remember,
Look,
Dante.
a picture of this.
Dante
Oh.
really loved being Roman, and he loved the emperors. And how dare anyone do something like that to an emperor?
I thought Caesar was a Greek thing. No, is that?
No,
Oh, that's a Roman thing.
Roman.
It's all the same.
Anyway,
It's
so
not.
he so
Here's
basically
Dante's
the
Inferno devil picture.
Lucifer the devil says, basically tells Dante, hey, that whole thing with kidnapping your Beatrice. Psych, I didn't care about her. She was bait. You were the one I wanted because I knew you could. Yeah, you marry me. No. Oh, that would have been a way different.
No, I want to marry you, Dante.
No, you made it here, and I know you can free me from this prison, and because I guess, like, he's in prison, but he's also sitting on the portal.
Okay, so the devil through the whole game, he's naked. And it's like Dr. Manhattan unnecessary. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, well, there's that on the screen now. I guess I shall cover my eyes. My Christian virgin eyes.
Like I said, this is an M-rated game, and it earns every
They were just
last...
like, we want to earn all the M's.
So, like, apparently, not only is he frozen in ice, but he's also, like, sitting on the portal to Purgatory. And he's like, now that you freed me, I can make it to Purgatory and fight my way through Purgatory and get back to heaven. And
yeah, to the game's credit, before all that happened, it very much was constantly implying that God was more powerful. Like, it very much felt like this is hell and all this stuff. And yeah, we might have more souls, but, there's definitely the power dynamic was still in place. All of that. And then we get to this last part, and the devil's like, well, time to go overthrow my father and take back what's rightfully mine.
To be fair.
And I'm like, okay, I guess you did try this before.
Yeah, to be fair,
it's not how that went.
All of this is from the devil's perspective. So the devil is like thinking that he can do this, even though
that's true. Yeah. They're not really implying. Well, okay, except for the very end, but
And the other credit of this game is they do when they talk about Jesus.
The picture of the devil.
Oh no, I'm not looking at that right now. I'm not. They talk about Jesus when Jesus was crucified, that he descended and he into hell to take the keys from
kicked
of
the
death.
Devil's butt.
Yeah, he kicked the devil's butt.
Do you think they fought?
Sure, I don't know. I
don't think it would have been a very fair fight.
No,
but it's a fun image.
So Dante and the devil, they fight, and
it's a pretty short fight in the movie.
Yeah. Now here's okay.
We were looking at the screen time, going, we kind of spent too much time in that lust scene, didn't we?
Yeah. So here's the thing about the movie. The game doesn't do this because there's an actual boss fight in the game, but in the movie, so like the devil is way stronger, obviously, than a mortal, and so what Dante is like, I will.
I'll just pray it away.
I'll pray. He prays to say that he will remain here so that the devil can't leave. Okay?
Yes.
And so there's this shining light, and now the devil's imprisoned again.
He's mad. He's like, what? No! Gets imprisoned.
And then
what
Dante.
To the other guys?
Huh?
Anyway, I'm worried about Judas and Brutus and Lugnitus.
Oh, they're
fine.
Yeah.
And then chewed on.
So that's the thing. So basically, Dante is praying to be the shackles that are going to keep the devil there. And then the movie is like, oh yeah, we forgot about that because never mind, because then he leaves.
Well, no, I think it's what it was. Is like, you did it. You don't have to stay here. God has accepted your sacrifice and said you don't have to do it. It's like one of those it's like us sacrificing.
Oh, it's like an Abraham thing. Yeah, okay, I get you.
Like,
yeah, okay.
do this. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And it's like, well, you don't have to.
Okay.
I see your faith is true. Come home. Come be with your Beatrice. You deserve your reward.
Okay.
And he goes and he walks through and he goes into Purgatory, which we had a very interesting exploration of Purgatory, John Mark and I, because I was researching it.
Yep.
Kind of understand really what I always thought Purgatory was just like a different kind of limbo.
No, it's
and
something
it's not.
different.
And it's kind of like, it's interesting. And I'm not saying it's changed how I view how we go to heaven, but it made me think about it.
Yeah.
Purgatory is basically when you die, if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and you know, have the faith on all that, you know, you're going to heaven, you might still have these attachments to you that are of earthly things.
Yep.
And, you know, we're humans, so we have attachments. And the idea of Purgatory is and it's uncomfortable, it might even hurts. It burns off those attachments and purifies you the rest of the way to continue to before, and you can enter heaven. And it's almost saying like you could still enter heaven without going through Purgatory. But if it's like, why would you want to go into God's house with dirty feet? It was kind of the thing.
Yeah, that's the way the priest was explaining. It was a good explanation.
Really,
it was a very good explanation.
And it was from, do you remember the channel name? I have it here somewhere. No. Ascension Presents was the channel.
Yeah.
And he's also a very nice priest to look at. So.
Oh, okay.
No, I meant like he was like very charming.
Yeah, he's very friendly.
I felt like I was learning and I wasn't bored.
Yes, yes.
He also has very deep blue, like light blue, icy eyes. They look into your soul. Anyway, so it was really interesting to learn. I actually learned a lot about Purgatory in that 7-minute video. I was reading on it and I was like, I don't understand. How does this work? And so I went and did that and I was like, oh.
So
that's a simplified version. So he gets to Purgatory.
Yep.
Continue.
And then he like rips off this like thing that got sewed onto him.
Oh, we didn't even talk about his sins being sewn to his chest.
Yeah, okay, so in the game, he's sewing this tapestry thing to his chest.
Yes, but the movie it's sewn to his chest.
In the movie, these hands come up and... Yeah, Limbo does it.
And it's a tapestry of all of his sins made into a cross on his chest.
Yep.
And it'll like have like different images of basically all of the 9 whatever amount of sins there are. And so he gets to rip that off because he has to suffer in Purgatory. He's burning off his attachments, the sin, the earthly bindings. He takes that off himself.
Yep.
To go be with, he could see Beatrice in the distance in the movie, and he walks away. But apparently, they were hoping for a sequel, guys.
Yeah. Oh no, this reeks so much of sequel bait. It's not.
Make a sequel.
Well, because so like the tapestry like turns into a snake, and you hear the devil laughing.
He goes,
so here's the thing. So Dante's Inferno.
Purgatory and God doesn't know.
The first part of Dante's Divine Comedy, because Dante's Divine Comedy is Dante. Infernus, Dante, Purgatoria, Dante, Paradisia. Okay,
so that's Paradisia. Heaven.
Heaven. That's paradise.
He went to heaven.
Yeah, he goes from heaven. Goes from hell to purgatory to heaven. That's the journey. Okay, so the journey through hell. There's all kinds of material they could use. The purgatory is a little bit more esoteric. And so they needed a way of setting up some manner of conflict, because you're not in Purgatory, you're not being necessarily like tormented by demons. You're just having to, there are tasks that you're having to complete.
Yeah. It was interesting.
So they have to have a villain. That's why they set it up that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, because for all the games and the theological disagreements we have with it.
Yeah.
The one thing the game had going for it, because this is the one that we run into over and over again, is that they constantly like to balance God and the devil.
Yeah, and this one, they are not balanced.
And they are not balanced in this for most of it until the very end, where they kind of hint that the devil could get the purgatory and could maybe get back to heaven.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's not.
Well, the devil thinks that he could. What would probably be happening?
He did.
He did.
Saw the serpent.
Yeah, and he's gonna get up there, and God's just gonna go whack.
He literally laughed. I'm here. He's twisting his mustache. Anyway.
So in the end,
final thoughts.
I would not recommend this game.
Nope, me either.
I'm gonna come out.
recommend the movie.
I'm gonna come out and say this. I don't even know if I'd recommend the movie.
I did not enjoy the movie.
Well, the reason I wouldn't recommend either. Like I
The
get
art's cool.
I get like games have a certain level of violence, and if handled appropriately, you can explore things about sex. This did not
this wasn't very insightful.
It wasn't insightful. It wasn't and honestly, it's
I think
deeply uncomfortable. I think would be deeply uncomfortable for a lot of people because it deals with some issues, and I don't think it does it delicately. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I think it's really interesting to watch Dante's journey, realizing how much his choices had impacted the people around him to the point of causing them death.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. I think the movie has...
Yeah, I would recommend the movie over the game.
Yes, I would. I mean, who has time to play games?
Well, I mean...
but I meant, like, the game's compact. The mechanics of the game are not good. That's the thing I remember. It's like, in the end, plot aside, the game's not good.
Yeah.
Okay? So plot aside, the game's not good. But the movie, I think if you really wanted to know what was up with everything going on, you could watch the movie and just know. But you're right. I think there's better material out there that is more accurate to the Catholic beliefs. I don't think they believe in the layers of hell. I think that's... Do they? I don't think. I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I'm not going to assert anything.
Yeah,
there.
I don't really know.
All back. I don't know what they believe about hell. I know they believe in hell. That's what I know.
But I think that
I don't actually suggest reading Dante's Inferno. I think it's from... I've tried to read it. I mean, unless you're like a big English boof.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it is. I did it because I wanted to see how accurate. Basically, the game takes
he just doesn't sound like a very nice person.
Yeah, the game takes set pieces from the book and turns them into a video game. So do not try to watch this movie or play this game and hope that you will be able to do a book report on Dante's Inferno, because things will go badly.
It's perfectly. It'll be fine.
But I will admit that the book is a slog, and
I think the one thing I want to say is I am thankful for watching this movie and doing the research we did, because I did learn more about Purgatory and how Catholics view faith and salvation in a way that I understand. Like it's always been such kind of a joke, not a joke, but like when you're in like a Protestant, grown up Protestant, the Catholic stuff, it's not. They're just,
we don't understand.
You always kind of treat them kind of like the weirdos who still believe in these old ways and stuff, and like they sure have it wrong. Like I feel like sometimes that's how it's viewed, right? Yeah. Like they're Christians, but they're weird because they still do the weird stand up, sit down, and these other things. But like I like the more I learned why they chose to continue these things and to believe what they do, like they've been around a long time, longer than Protestants. Yep. It's not like they haven't asked those questions or looked into that research or tried to find answers. Like the Pope coming out and saying, hey, we don't have a solid answer for this. Here is our theological research and teachings on this document. Like people, like we should, like there's sure a lot of knocking on them for again a religion. Now there is a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. But again, I've said this before. I think that the tension between Catholics and Protestants, I don't buy into that. I like to the point where I've heard some Protestants say that Catholics aren't Christians, and I've admonished them. I've heard
Catholics say Protestants aren't Christians. Yeah. I have heard very recently from somebody we know who has said that to us. Yes. And it's a lot of malarkey. Yep. And you have no right to judge my heart with that. The only way you can judge me and my faith is by fruits I bear.
Yep. And so my I guess, like I said, closing thoughts on this, because we do need to wrap this up. Yep. Is I don't recommend the game on a lot of levels. The movie, do not watch it with your kids.
I recommend the movie if you're curious. It's only if you're that curious.
Yeah. Keep in mind that this was Stars that produced this movie. So
also it's on YouTube and it's on a horrible resolution. So I mean, it's good for some things because you don't see all the nudity.
Yeah, I guess.
I can't believe it's not been taken off, honestly. Anyway, I think it is time
to wrap things up.
As always, thank you for listening. We are Faithful Nerds, a commentary and discussion podcast. We research, break down, and do our best to stay true to our faith. But as always, we are flawed human beings who make mistakes. Speaking of which, if you want to contact us and give us feedback, corrections, or further questions, you can reach us at faithfilnerds.com, facebook.com/faithfulnerds, or Twitter at nerdsfaith.
Thank you to Steve Rue for the use of your jazz album for the opening and closing of our show. You can find Steve Rue at youtube.com/Steve Rue or wherever online music is sold. Thank you all for supporting us. Just knowing that you're there really encourages us to continue working. Please leave us a review and rate us on whatever platform you're listening to. And now for the out of context Bible verse.
2 Kings 23:26. Nevertheless, the Lord did not turn away from the heat of his fierce anger, which burned against Judah, because of all that Manasseh had done to arouse his anger.
I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle.
And in the words of the immortal Wolfwood, go with God.